There comes a point where you stop thinking about retirement as something nice and start thinking about it as something necessary. When that happens, most people assume they're just getting older. That's not what's happening at all. It usually means your mind and body are trying to tell you something your paycheck has spent years convincing you to ignore. Here's a moment a lot of you already know. Something small happens at your job, a request that used to be routine, a minor annoyance that used to be no big deal. And instead of shrugging it off like you would have in the past, something in you just refuses. Now you catch yourself thinking, I am not giving this one more day of my life. Not because the moment itself is a big deal, because you're done trading your days for things that don't matter to you anymore. That's not burnout, that's freedom knocking. That's the moment you realize you need to escape the rat race. Not necessarily your job, the grind of it, running hard, staying busy, and never actually arriving anywhere that's yours. Most people think that feeling means they just need a vacation. What they're really experiencing is a warning signal, the same kind your car has, for a part that's wearing out before it actually breaks down. Most people ignore it for a while, then a while longer, then one day, they simply can't ignore it anymore. This isn't a video about hating your job. Most people don't hate their jobs. What happens is quieter than that. It's not that the work changed, it's that you did. Burnout research backs this up. It's rarely a dramatic collapse. It's a slow erosion. Energy goes first. Patience goes next. And right now, more than 1 out of every 2 American workers says they're burned out. You're not in some tiny, unlucky group. You're standing in the middle of a crowd. For many people, this starts showing up somewhere in their late 40s or 50s, not because a switch flips on a birthday, but because a few decades of decisions, deadlines, and other people's emergencies tend to catch up with you right around then. And here's where most people get stuck. They assume the only answer to, I'm exhausted, is push through it until 65 or whenever Social Security decides I'm allowed to stop. We want to challenge that assumption completely. And if that's the kind of thinking you're here for, go ahead and subscribe. Because if pushing through isn't the only answer, then what is? Most people think burnout is an emotional problem, but it's actually an options problem. And options come from money. That's the real conversation. Social Security has a number. Medicare has a number. Your pension, if you have one, has a number too. But none of those numbers were built around when you're actually ready. They were built around actuarial tables and government budgets, not your energy, your health, or how many good years you've got left to actually enjoy. Retirement age is a bureaucratic answer to a deeply personal question, and you're allowed to answer it yourself, but only if you've done the work to have that choice. If you're carrying debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or your investments have been an afterthought for most of your career, that warning light doesn't matter because you don't have the option to make any changes yet. You're stuck driving until the official number says you're allowed to stop. But if you've done it differently, got out of debt on purpose, kept your lifestyle from ballooning every time your income did, invested consistently instead of upgrading constantly, you've quietly been building something most people never get, a choice. Bottom line, at some point you get tired of trading your time for money. You want your time back. You want to decide what to do with it without negotiating it away for a paycheck anymore. That's not laziness. That's not giving up. That's reaching a point in your life where freedom is what you actually crave. Where, out of all the years you put in, you finally say, I need this part of my life to be mine. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday, pouring a cup of coffee, and realizing nobody gets to tell you where you have to be today. That's retirement. That's what you're really saving for. One caution though, don't retire just because you're tired. Retire because you're moving towards something. More mornings with your spouse, more time with grandchildren, volunteering, traveling, finally starting the thing you've been putting off for 20 years. Retirement isn't running away from life. It's finally having enough freedom to live it on your own terms. So how do you actually know it's time? Not financially, emotionally. Here are 3 signs worth paying attention to. Sign 1. Your calendar drains you more than it excites you. not occasionally, as a pattern. Sign 2. You value time more than income. 20 years ago, you'd have happily worked a Saturday for the overtime. Now, you'd gladly pay someone else just to give you your Saturday back. Sign 3. You'd rather own less if it meant owning more of your time. The bigger TV doesn't excite you anymore. Tuesday morning does. None of those are laziness, they're data, and what you can do with that data depends entirely on one thing: whether you built yourself the option to act on it. Now think about how this actually plays out for two different people. One spends a few decades matching spending to every raise: bigger house, newer cars, upgrades that felt earned at the time. By 55, the paycheck isn't optional anymore. The warning light comes on and stays on because there's no version of stopping that doesn't blow up the life they built around that income. The other spends those same years investing the gap between what they earn and what they spend. House paid off or close to it, debt gone, portfolio quietly compounding in the background the whole time, mostly ignored, mostly boring. Same warning light, completely different options. One has to keep driving, the other gets to pull over. That gap was never about who earned more. It's about what each of them did with it. So if you're feeling that pull right now, here's the honest first step. Give yourself one uninterrupted hour in the next few days. No phone, no distractions. And work out 3 numbers: what you spend, what you own, what it costs to live the life you want. Those 3 numbers will tell you more about your retirement than the year you were born ever will. If the math works, that tired feeling isn't something to white knuckle through. It's a signal you should probably listen to. If the math doesn't work yet, that's not failure, that's just information. It tells you exactly what to fix starting today, so that light isn't a source of dread 5 years from now. It's a green light instead. Retirement isn't the reward for surviving work. It's the freedom to stop working because you no longer need the paycheck. And the people who get there aren't usually the ones who earned the most. They're the ones who built enough margin that they finally got to choose. That's what wealth was always meant to buy. Not the bigger house, not the nicer car. Options. One day, that warning light is going to come on. It comes on for almost everyone. The question isn't whether you'll see it. The question is whether, when it does, you'll have already built yourself an exit. Not an exit you're forced into, one you chose on your own terms, long before anyone told you that you'd earned it. That's your escape out of the rat race, whenever you decide you're ready to take it. If this video hit home, give it a like and let us know in the comments, what's your sign that it's time? If you know someone stuck in that same grind, send this their way. It might be exactly what they need today. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. We're building this channel around exactly this kind of thinking. If you're serious about building your own exit, that's exactly where to go next, right there on your screen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.